Are they broadcasting it?
Yes, and I just texted Adriana to tell her that we're going live.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
The webinar is live.
IT is the host. Can you give me host capabilities so I can call on speakers and things? Thank you.
Okay. See, we have 17 attendees right now. So I guess we will get started. So welcome everybody to the Resilience Action Forum. We have a lot of quick updates to go through, and then we'll open the floor and begin the conversations. I want to start off by thanking everybody who came to the Stormwater Master Plan meetings that we've been having over the last month and a half. We've had a lot of good feedback from members of the city regarding what the Stormwater Master Plan report tells us as far as flooding problems, the roadmap for addressing them, and really towards meeting our long-term needs. And so coming out of that, we have made some adjustments to what the city priorities are, added in some additional projects from based on feedback either from members of the community or from the individual commissioners. And we do plan on submitting the staff recommendations to the commissioners in July for where we think they should prioritize spending first. And of course, that listing is much greater than the funds that we do have available from the Miami Forever Bond or other sources. But once we agree to what the priorities are, we'll then start allocating funds and looking for grant opportunities to make up for that shortfall. So as I said, the recommendations will be sent to the commission in July of this year. And second of all, I'd like to just announce, if you did not listen to the April 22nd commission meeting, we had two ordinances that were passed. The first one was for the fertilizer ordinance to tighten up the restrictions that we have on when you can use fertilizer, when we had the blackout period, and through and other limitations on how much fertilizer you can use. So the blackout period is now from May 15th through October 31st of each year, when no fertilizer should be used. The second one is something we've been talking about here for a long time, is the Building Efficiency 305 program. This is that program where buildings that are 20,000 square feet and above will go through an auditing or a energy and water benchmarking and auditing program in order to help to identify ways that they can improve on their efficiency, reduce their energy requirements, and ultimately provide a more resilient facility for residents or people who are using the buildings. So that program will be headed up by the building department. And of course, the resilience folks will be working right along with them, Jonathan Klopp from our office, as they're standing it up and getting the program in place. And with that, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Alyssa Farina and let her give you a quick update on where we are on the greenhouse gas reduction plan and talk about the solar co-op.
Great, thank you, Alan. So we are very close to the end stages of developing the greenhouse gas reduction plan. We have closed the comment period for the greenhouse gas reduction plan and are working to synthesize and provide, create the updates that are needed in the plan. There was not anything too significant in the second round, which is great. So I'm glad to see that a lot of the comments that we had heard in the first round of public comment were addressed in the draft document. Currently, we are working on a implementation plan for the prioritized actions that were acknowledged in the draft. So if you go back to the draft, you'll see they're highlighted. Those are the prioritized actions. And so we're coming up with implementation steps that will help us move forward with completing those actions or taking significant action on those recommendations in the next 3 years. So that'll be something that's included in the final version of the plan, is kind of what is the roadmap for these prioritized actions. A next step that you should all be aware of is that we are finalizing the draft of the new economy. So that's the N in green portion of the plan, and the green economy analysis. That will kind of be an overview of what the landscape of the green economy is in Miami at the moment. What are the opportunities that align with the greenhouse gas reduction plan actions? And what are the steps that we can take to kind of support the growth of a green economy and an ecosystem that supports a green economy in Miami? We will have that out for public comment roughly in the beginning of July. So, keep looking at the website, which is miamigov.com/GHG plan. We'll also be sending information out via our newsletter and social media when that is available for public comment. But just to be aware that is an upcoming opportunity for your review. And then lastly, just to kind of tie the bow on this, and when is this finally going to be final? We are looking to present this greenhouse gas reduction plan as a final document to the commission in September. So we will be doing a presentation, having it, heard by all of our commissioners, and, ideally approved then for next steps in implementation. One of the actions that we have in the plan is supporting renewable energy, moving towards solar. And one of the great local organizations doing work on that is our solar co-op. So we have Laura Tellez here, who is the facilitator of the Miami Solar Co-op, and I am going to call on her now to provide some information about the enrollment period that's going on right now. If it'll let me promote her. So she'll be talking about the enrollment period right now for the Solar United Neighbors. So Laura, can we hear you? You were just unmuted, Laura, so maybe you can speak now.
Hi, my name is Heaven Campbell. Laura's actually tied up in another meeting. I'm the Florida Program Director for Solar United Neighbors, and am excited to be able to share more about the Miami-Dade Solar Co-op. So the co-op program is a free to join and obligation-free program that aims to educate small business owners and homeowners about the benefits of solar energy and really just solar literacy. So how does solar energy work? How do you interconnect with your local utility? How do you finance a solar system? So our main focus is on education and consumer protection throughout the process, and helping people to ultimately make an informed decision if going solar is the right fit for their family. So we keep saying co-op, but I just want to share a little bit of context on what a co-op even is. It's really just a group of homeowners that are coming together to learn about solar energy and walk through the process of going solar together with our unbiased help. So we're completely installer neutral and financing neutral, and we handhold and support and educate throughout every phase of the process of going solar. And again, there's no obligation to go solar, no fee to join the co-op. The Miami-Dade co-op is open for another month, so it closes at the end of July. They are geographically constrained projects as well as time-sensitive projects, so the co-op's open for at the very least 3 months, sometimes a little bit longer, for people to join. Once someone joins, we give them a free roof review. So we let people know automatically off the bat if solar is not a wise investment for them because of roof size or shading concerns. And then once people are qualified and we think, you could potentially go solar, you have some good exposure and space, then they move through and just continue to get educated throughout every point in the process. And because it is a group of homeowners in a specific area going solar together over a very specific time frame, we do facilitate a competitive bidding process, and local installers come in with their best, most sustainable bid, and the co-op itself. So a group of members who volunteer to be on the selection committee that we help facilitate select an installer to service their group. And they're able to get a great system while also saving, because it's a group of people who are educated and empowered and in a specific area, all saying, we're ready to go solar together. So this co-op has actually already selected their installer. It's a local South Florida company, Golden Solar. And we're excited for people to be moving through the stages. And our support doesn't end after somebody goes solar or even doesn't go solar. People can go solar outside of the co-op or maybe say this isn't the right fit for me. And we try to support them in different ways that they can advocate for solar, maybe educate local youth. So we've been doing a lot of work with the Miami-Dade school system to increase solar awareness among youth. So there are a lot of ways to get plugged in, and we think that solar's for everyone, whether you're putting it on your roof or not. Are there any questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions for them about the Solar United Neighbors, the local cohort, you can raise your hand now. Not really seeing any, so just going to say thank you to Solar United Neighbors for opening this opportunity. We'll be promoting it through the end of July, and looking forward to continue partnership with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Alan.
Thanks very much. And last thing before we open up the floor is we have Melissa Hugh. If you could talk a little bit about the Circularity Assessment Protocol and what happened over the previous month.
Sure, I'll give a quick update. So the Circularity Assessment Protocol is a protocol that aims to figure out the type of plastic debris that's found in and around our city and ways that we can reduce that debris and ultimately prevent it from going into the bay and into our other water bodies such as the Miami River. So we partnered with the Ocean Conservancy to get this done, and a team from University of Georgia actually came out and did the field work, and they're doing the whole assessment and the protocol itself. So they were here in May, beginning of May, for about a week, and they walked the entire city, did different transects, just collecting field data. They visited some of our materials recovery facilities. They interviewed stakeholders and local cleanup groups, just trying to get an idea of the life cycle of our waste, and particularly plastic waste. And so right now they're in the analysis phase. So they have a lot of good data that they got from being here on in the field, and they're analyzing all of that. And then in the coming months, so July, we hope to get a draft report, and we'll be bringing that to the public for some feedback and input, and just kind of socializing it a bit before the actual report goes out. And like I said, that's going to be in July. So that's where we are now, and I'll take any questions if anyone has anything specific they'd like to ask.
Yeah, people can also put questions in the Q&A, and we can get to them then if one comes to you later.
Okay, I'd say why don't we open up the floor and see what questions you have or what comments you would like to provide. So if anybody would like to say something, please raise your hand, or as Alyssa said, type the question in the chat box.
We have one question from Eric that I think it goes to Melissa. How are you planning to get around plastic preemption laws in regards to the work around the circularity assessment protocol?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I forgot to mention when I was talking about it earlier that so out of the analysis, we're going to get policy recommendations and suggestions as well as, or, things that we can put into ordinance that the city can do. So as far as preemption around laws, I'm not sure if that would be one of the recommendations. We're actually looking at other avenues besides preemption laws that could be impactful. And, one of the things that Miami Beach has done is the Plastic Free MB campaign, and we're looking to do that countywide, hopefully. So incentive-based initiatives we're looking at, as well as just kind of citywide policies and ordinances that we can implement. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure how much we're going to do on the preemption law front.
No, but Alyssa, I think you mentioned the Miami Beach program, which is not a ban, but really a way to incentivize getting away from plastics.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
We have a hand raised from Mihai. Oh, no, his hand went, no, wait, on, off. Where's it going? Okay, it turned off, so maybe we'll come back to him. Gianna asks here, Governor DeSantis signed HB 919 preemption over restriction of utility services last night. Now that municipalities cannot require utility providers to offer clean, renewable energy options, how will this impact the city's ability to meet its clean energy goals? Do you want to start with that, Alan?
Yeah, and I'm sure that Alyssa and some other folks would be able to provide more information than I can on it as far as how we're adjusting the plan. But actually, it's from a timing point of view, it's something that we saw was coming as the bill has been going through the legislative process. And while it doesn't allow us to ban any certain types of energy sources, we still have the ability to work with all of the utility services to make them more energy efficient, to reduce overall usage, and also to encourage use of things like solar. We can definitely still be a conduit to help people to get to clean energy sources while helping to reduce it. So it does require, though, a little bit of change over how much we can expect will occur over the next 5, 10, 20 years, since we don't have that same level of control. So we have to shift the sectors where we are going to have those reductions and put more emphasis on certain things like encouraging use of electric vehicles or encouraging public transit, which cuts down energy usage. We just have to do more with the areas that we can do it. And Alyssa, why don't you jump in and you can talk a little bit more about the targets and how we've been working through those.
Yeah, so one of the major adjustments we had to make when we saw this legislation coming down the pipe was that we removed our building electrification, or significantly decreased the amount of building electrification that we imagined would happen. Basically from a mandated percentage to a voluntary, which made it drop significantly. So that the way that we adjusted for that in the plan was thinking about that now we need to invest more resources in the transportation sector, as Alan mentioned. So that's moving more cars towards EV and moving more people towards using lower carbon forms of transportation. So that's through public transit and densification. Again, this is something that we've mentioned in the plan as of right now. Our kind of modeled scenario has 100% clean energy by 2035. Still, as we are, trying to see what our future might look like with a federal mandate or a federal program that heavily incentivizes clean energy, if not creates a clean energy standard. So that's the scenario we still have built into our plan. is in that way. And so just looking into the future as, you know, the legislation at the federal level is being pushed forward, maybe something that we'll have to revisit. But right now we are still leaning on the federal government to play a heavy part in meeting our clean energy goals here in Florida.
Okay, should we open up to the floor again for questions or comments?
We don't have any hand raised.
No. Well, while we're waiting to see, oh, there's me. Hi. Okay.
I'll call on behind.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see everybody. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So my question is about the greenhouse gas reduction plan. And my background is physics. I taught environment in college for many years. So when I heard about the Miami plan that wants to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030 and still stay in line with the 1.5 degrees C of the Paris Agreement, I was very curious, how is that possible? Because I knew that much stronger, much faster emission cuts are necessary. And last month, Jonathan mentioned the Deadline 2020 report. And we looked at it and discovered the secret. And we put it in an open letter. You can read it on Twitter at Parents for Future Miami. And the secret is that in order for this plan to work and to reach net zero by 2050 and to still stay within 1.5 degrees C, it requires negative emissions from 2050 on to way into the 22nd century. So negative emissions means that the young people today and their children will have to organize a cleanup of the entire atmosphere. If it's possible to do at all, and it will take many generations and it will cost in the hundreds of trillions of dollars. And there are serious open questions if this is physically possible to do at scale and so on. But assuming that it is possible, we would like to ask you a few questions. The first one is, before committing future generations to this tremendous task, shouldn't you ask them first, at least the young people who are here with us today? Wouldn't you need their informed consent before choosing this route? Thank you.
Okay. So Mihai, informed consent as in do nothing and let things just continue on the path they're going, or try to do something and see if they agree with it? Because there is a difference. And the second thing is, if you could, when you were talking about cleanup to get to carbon neutral, can you describe a little bit what specific actions would need to happen to start doing the cleanup? Because I think we all agree that ways to cut are important, but if there's certain specific actions that remove carbon to clean it up, if you could help to elaborate a little bit more on those, I think that would be very helpful.
Absolutely. So let's start with what is in the Deadline 2020 report. The picture that I shared in my open letter explains, under the graph, it explains that the technologies that will be needed after 2050 are something like BECCS, bioenergy, carbon capture and storage. This is at this point a theoretical proposal to grow, a huge area of crops that are just made to be raised, grown, and then cut, and then burned, and then the electricity used, and then the carbon captured and stored underground, and so on. and there's serious feasibility questions about them. So now there are better options that I have not seen them in the C40 report. And of course, those are starting today by reducing emissions much faster. One of them would involve in knowing the population who is going to have to deal with these consequences, knowing what these choices are, and say maybe they will choose that electric car and that public transit faster over the gas-powered car after they know what the available options are. They cannot be expected to make that choice without knowing the options, right? Yes.
So it would the action item be for the city to help to inform young people about the benefits of electric vehicles, or something more? Because the capture storage, you talked about the crop piece, but you said it's theoretical. So that one sounded more like the actionable item that we could do. Is that right?
No, when you signed up for a 50% reduction by 2030, you signed up the next generations to the bioenergy carbon capture and storage because you followed the deadline 2020 report, right? So we mentioned many times on this call before that C40 is not the only truth out there, right? There are other sources of information. We have contacted Professor Mann, Professor Jacobson, and so on. So there are other sources of information that we would love you to consider. So far, we have heard that you trust C40. C40 is the only source of information that you use. And we find that seriously problematic.
Mihai, one thing I wanted to kind of note is that a lot of the research that you've been sending, and I do appreciate it, is kind of just focused on what is scientifically possible. And I understand that is your perspective, is that that politics should do whatever is scientifically possible. But when it comes to the city of Miami in itself, and, you know, in response to what Gianna even just brought up, is that the city of Miami is limited in its ability, especially when it comes to one of the major sources, which is energy production, of what we can even do in and of ourselves. So one thing that I would, you know, I think that I mentioned to you, and that, you know, we can continue to work on, is figuring out what are the right avenues for advocacy on the types of demands that you're recommending, especially when it comes to, you know, moving us towards greater solar. What we can do is, you know, rooftop solar, but we can't adjust the energy grid in and of itself. So there's, again, I acknowledge that your position is that politics should do whatever is scientifically possible. But when it comes to, you know, the political realities, especially when it comes to preemptions, there's limitations in what the city in and of itself can do. And our plan is focused around what is the most, you know, trying to find what is the blend of what is politically feasible with what is scientifically possible, and trying to, you know, find what is the most ambitious intersection of those two things.
And I think this ties into the question I'm seeing in the chat from Caroline Lewis, and maybe let her ask her question, because I think it is tied to what we're doing to address energy production within the city and the state.
Well, thank you all so much. I do kind of feel very strongly, I agree with Mihai and Alyssa. Nobody knows better than we do that you're walking a fine line. However, and I say however in all caps, the city of Miami gets national attention. I have seen my mayor. I live in the city of Miami. Mayor Suarez is my mayor. I have seen him on national news, and I know he carries a big stick when he wants to. And climate action has to be political and nonpartisan. And I guess I want to know, how much leadership can we expect from the city of Miami to bring along all the other municipalities and counties in the state? Not alone. You have a strong relationship with Miami Beach and this county, Miami-Dade County, but I think we all need to see strong leadership from Mayor Suarez and all of you to push the envelope. We are at an absolute loss for time to respect the urgency with which we need to heed the science. And the preemption bills that were just signed by the governor seems to me head in the sand. Here we are putting billions into adaptation and refusing to understand the need for mitigation. As the executive director of CLEO, Yoka, or DT Rocha, so eloquently said, we are trying to mop up the bathroom floor without turning off the faucet. And I think the city of Miami needs to know that we, your residents, your community, your frontline communities want to see much more of a pushing of the envelope, of heeding the science and acting on the urgency with which mitigation as well as adaptation has to be addressed.
I think we agree with you, and I think Mayor Suarez and the city of Miami in general are definitely talking and engaging with other cities and communities. I know that there's a lot of discussion with Miami Beach, with Miami-Dade County, with Coral Gables on, we all have the same goals and objectives for the most part when it comes to environmental issues. And we're, I think, a little ahead of others in South Florida when it comes to putting together our greenhouse gas reduction plan. But I know that the county and Miami Beach are also working on that. But the key to it all, when we're talking about energy production, I think is what you just said, that the cities do not control that. It's the state through their authorities has control over energy production, and the Public Services Commission that really controls what the FP&L and other utility companies can do. And that is where I think the pressure really needs to come from to cause change to happen, because these preemption bills are coming from the Florida legislature. So I think you're right. And the mayor is not here today due to his, I'll be honest, his schedule is completely crazy these days, and it's so hard to fit this in with the other stuff that he's having to do. However, we all need to keep engaging to get change to occur at the federal level. You see change happening at the state level. We need change to occur if we really want to change the way that the preemption and get us to moving towards more clean energies. But I absolutely do agree with you, and I know that Mihai he sent a paper over the weekend, which I'll be honest, I wasn't able to read through the whole thing because it was from Dr. Jacobson, talking about the need to switch towards more clean energy, such as wind power, water power, and there was a third one, but I can't remember what it was that was in there. But the clean energy, solar, yes, how could I forget that one? But the challenge is what the city is able to enforce and what we are able to influence versus what is enforced and influenced at the state level or at the federal level.
Have you tested your power?
I think that there is a lot of engagement that happens. I mean, we don't tell the state how to run the state. However,
listen, a lot of our tax dollars are going to the state. Not all of it is coming back down here. So I mean, I don't want to be causing a riot in the state. However, if the city of Miami doesn't have the confidence and the direct experience of climate disruptions to have a sit down, a public sit down with our governor to say, hey, we all belong to the state of Florida. We in Southeast Florida are most vulnerable. Here's what we're seeing. What are you doing? Why aren't you with us? I mean, I know politics is not as simple as I'm trying to paint a picture here, but you can't not speak up because it's not your domain. You are part of the state. And I think you have to start a drumbeat. I think City of Miami is in a great position to start a drumbeat to tell the state of Florida, to tell this governor and our next governor that we can't sit back and put our head in the sand and pretend that this isn't happening for the reasons it's happening. So I guess I'm just pushing the envelope that, yeah, we got to be realistic about what control we have, but there is no way you can convince me that starting a drumbeat and having it pick up so that our governor is hearing that there's a little bit of outrage that we will adapt but we won't mitigate is beyond ludicrous.
Oh, I agree with you on that. And I would, if you specifically brought up House Bill 919, the city of Miami formally opposed that through resolution, and there was engagement with state representatives to express that we did not believe that that policy was right, as well as a couple other ones that ultimately were passed.
I appreciate that.
And
I think
will
that was
mention-
very good, but it needs more. I think we need more publicity around this, and we need a public discussion with our governor. And I don't know if Mayor Suarez and our governor could ever get together in front of a camera, but it's a discussion that needs to be had.
And one thing I'll mention, Caroline, is in part of the greenhouse gas reduction plan, it is a recommendation. Not to say this is anything that's been adopted. It has been a recommendation from our office that the city get more engaged in state politics, involving ourselves in public service commission, and you know, just greater advocacy at the state level. So that's something that we are recommending as well.
Well, you have our support, and if we can help you, just let us know.
Thank you very much, Caroline.
And if anybody else has questions, please raise your hand and let us know. Otherwise, I think, Mihai, if you want to address again.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much for hearing me. I'm very happy. Caroline, Ms. Lewis helped us out here. Exactly. I fully agree that Miami is in an incredible position to shift the discussion about this. It's a city that everybody has heard of around the world. If the city of Miami takes this issue seriously and lets the population of Miami know what is it, the situation that we're in, what are the solutions, what is it that we need to do, all of us together. There's no doubt in my mind we can do this, but we need to get started. And that start is every one of us has his own and her own choices to make. And we hear a lot about what the state does, what the Biden administration, what Congress. This is not really very helpful for the limited time that we have here. Let's look at our individual choices here. For example, would it be reasonable to ask that we see a picture maybe with our present climate situation, so we all have in our minds an idea about what is the problem that we're trying to address? Because all we are talking about is solutions, but solutions to what? If we don't have the courage to address the magnitude of a problem, which is the climate breakdown, we will not be we're not going to have the mindset to do what's necessary to address it. So very specifically, this afternoon, I asked Alisa to allow me to share a picture with from the trajectories in the Anthropocene paper from 2018, a widely circulated paper that explains what is our problem. We are pushing the Earth's climate into hothouse Earth. We need to take serious action to avoid that outcome. But if we cannot even take a look at the real problem that we are facing, we're not gonna, take the right measures, because we cannot even look at the problem in the eyes. All right. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
I know we have a lot of other folks who are on here, so rather than just me responding again or Alyssa responding, I would ask if some other people have some ideas or thoughts about this topic. I think the majority of people who are here are definitely concerned about the resilience plan that the city has, the environmental concerns about the greenhouse gas reduction plan. So I would love to hear from some others as well. And I see Ari has her hand up.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so my name is Ari and I'm a high schooler. And I don't think that it's right that the greenhouse gas reduction plan leaves a lot of empty space, like a space where we don't know what's going to happen. Like, we're relying a lot on the federal government, the state government, future generations and future politicians and their choices. But that, I don't think that it's right for that to be like the greenhouse gas reduction plan, because there's not a lot of time left to solve the climate crisis, and if we rely on others to do what needs to be done, then there's the chance of actually solving the climate crisis gets lowered by a lot, and we're already in a state where our choices are very limited, and we're almost in an Earth that's uninhabitable for life. So we need to hurry up with our choices and take the boldest action that is possible, and go even beyond what is possible, trying to take action that is necessary to make life on Earth continue.
Ari, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for speaking up. One thing that we're trying to do in the greenhouse gas plan with the prioritized actions is highlight what actions that the city can take action on most quickly, and that we actually have the most control over. In the implementation plan, we'll have steps that we imagine the city will need to take, resources needed, including staff and funding, and ideally that being something that can be used as an advocacy tool by both the public and city staff to make sure that these things actually happen. So when the plan comes out and you see these prioritized actions, I really encourage, everyone on this call to take a look and see, what things that they want to really push for. And, we can work together to make sure that the city prioritizes these things.
And I think it's important that what we're trying to do is create a roadmap of things people can individually do, things that we as a city can collectively do, that, one person can individually do, but we collectively can do it. And also to highlight those things that are not within the control of the city, where we need more support and engagement at the county, state, or federal level, because it's simply outside of our control and our authority as prescribed by law. So we're really trying to capture all three of those in this plan, because it's going to take at every level, individual all the way up to the federal government, to work together to do it. And I think that's what a lot of what Mihai has been trying to express in a lot of his comments over the past several months, is the full range of activities that are necessary to make a change.
Go ahead, Clara.
Hi. I would like to just tap on to the previous speakers. And we are
Hey, Clara, we're having a hard time
mentioning
hearing you.
to you in these meetings, we said. Okay.
Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing you. Can I have you,
Yeah.
maybe move and then, oh, wait, can you try speaking now?
Okay. It's just that we are saying what we want. We want the targets, thanks. We want the targets adjusted along with science. And you guys didn't ever mention to us about the negative emissions starting in 2050 on technology that doesn't even exist, so that Ari is stuck with kids like Ari, Ari's generation is stuck with billions and billions of dollars of carbon capture that doesn't even exist and is hugely expensive. It's irresponsible for us not to act. Each person on the call is saying to do stuff, and you say, wait to see the plan. We see the targets. And I've been on every call. I've never heard you guys talk about you're relying on negative emissions in the future. That's not responsible to do to the future generation. And Ari's telling you right now he doesn't want that. And you say, wait to see the plan. The plan is, that's the plan. But that's your plan with the C40 cities. That's C40 cities plan. But you never told Ari that.
Yeah, that's something that we maybe need to speak with C40s about and maybe get you a better answer. Again, we've been working with them on their carbon budget. They have been our expert technical advisors this entire time. Something that, they have been kind of working with is being flexible in regards to, who is reducing when, and, City of Miami is considered a steep decline city, as you've seen. So, that was perhaps not part of the full conversation that we had with them, but that was the assignment that they gave to us. So let us talk to our advisors and kind of give you more information about that at a future meeting.
Okay, should we go to Sonia?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. Well, thank you. I was joining a little late here, but I heard some of the comments and presenters. I just wanted to say a few things. One, I was really hoping to see the mayor on today. So I don't know how we can help encourage him to be present. I was thinking perhaps we can also have him speak about any new technology startups, companies that are addressing climate tech. I think that might be a way to really kind of, poke his interest in this a little bit more. I think clearly there's a lot of attention around startup communities and businesses, coming to Miami at this moment. So if there's a way to highlight the climate tech, clean tech or climate technologies that are out there to help us address these issues, it would be really great to have the mayor speak about that. The other thing I wanted to share too is that, I sit on the bond committee. And for those that don't know, we do meet pretty frequently and we're picking it up a little bit. There's a lot more attention on the projects that we're going to be presenting to the city commission. And I think the bond is a great opportunity to showcase different solutions that are being done with, public money. So I don't know if Suleiman or Alan spoke about this, but our next meeting is June 30th. And we would love more participation from city residents and organizations to come and learn about these projects that are going to be listed for the next tranche. And I don't know if you shared that a little bit, Alan or Suleiman.
I did not, but thank you for bringing it up. And we'll usually at the end of the meeting, we'll talk about a couple key dates coming up, but we'll bring that one up as well. But I think you're absolutely right that when it comes to making real changes in the city of Miami, the Miami Forever Bond, it's what's paying for those necessary infrastructure changes, for those affordable housing investments. And the Miami Forever Bond Oversight Committee are the ones that have a better idea of what's going on than anybody else. And just for everybody in here who hasn't met him before, Suleiman Ujkani is our project manager who runs the Miami Forever Bond program within the administration. And Sonia is the chair of the Oversight Committee.
Yeah, and so that was $400 million that was passed. A lot of these groups and representatives on the call today helped push that to make it happen. So I think it's really important. I know that, you know, people have a lot of other things that they're joining. And again, this is taking time out of the day, but I think if we could be more active on the bond and seeing projects that we want to see be done, there's $350 million that still need to be allocated. I know there's a lot of progress on that. But, you know, back to the mayor, I do think if we're able to speak as a collective voice to try and get the mayor's interest in this, again, infrastructure. In my opinion, these are all jobs. These are all future opportunities for growth here in Miami in a more sustainable way. So I think there is a lot of attention in Miami, and we need to capitalize on that. And I think the mayor would be very open to hearing and talking about that if we're able to frame that in a more business savvy, entrepreneurial spirit kind of vision, that we're able to showcase these technologies and solutions as future companies that could be either started here or that would be interested in coming to Miami. So those are my 2 cents.
No, so I'll bring it up with his chief of staff right after this meeting.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
I want to acknowledge there's a comment in the Q&A before we go to Eric. It just says from Rolando, will more job opportunities to get involved with the Resilience Office be created?
Is that talking about creating additional positions within our staff?
That was the way that I was reading it. But I don't know if, I guess we can respond that way. And if, I don't know if Rolando has a clarification, he can speak up, but I think he might have left the call.
Okay.
Yes, he's no longer on the call.
Okay, well, I'll talk in general about the city because I don't know what the final budget will be when it's passed in September. I will say the Department of Resilience and Public Works has put in a laundry list of things that we would like to see for enhancements to our current budget. We obviously want more people, we want more equipment, and we want more money to do things for the city. Along with every other department that works here has put in their list of what they would like to see happen in order to make them more efficient and able to support the city more. That's still being balanced, you know, trying to look at how much can we afford based on income and, you know, where the best investments will be. So we're waiting to see as the budget goes through the process. We just had the first budget meeting last week where they were talking about priorities. But right now, I don't know what the final numbers will look like, if we will get any requests or if we're going to be status quo for the upcoming year, given how much we have lost in revenue due to the COVID crisis. So the budget office is still trying to work that out. There will be public meetings coming up as they decide on the budget, and it will be very open and transparent with everybody in the public as the commission receives the recommendations, and ultimately they decide on what our budget for next year will be. But I think you're absolutely right. We need more people involved with resilience, whether you are a paid city employee or you are just a citizen who wants to contribute to the resilience conversation or work with one of the nonprofits. We need to get more people involved in every aspect in resilience.
Yeah, and quickly before we call on Eric, there's just a comment from Scarlett Lanzas. She's just saying she agrees with what Sonia's asking, having the mayor share his strategy on building a tech ecosystem that is responsible to the environment and how it can support local efforts or even fast tracking efforts would be interesting to hear. So that's kind of related to Mike Sarassi's work with Venture Miami, and will also tie into our green economy analysis that's coming out in the beginning of July. So it seems like July might be a good time for kind of having this conversation that's more jobs and tech related. But I'm going to call on Eric now.
And I'd say also we should probably ask Mike Saraski to come and talk a little bit about it at the next meeting.
Yes, I just wanted to echo the comments from Sonia and Carolyn and Mihai that I'd really like to see more engagement from the mayor and his immediate staff on this. I mean, that was the arrangement that we had made when this group was set up, that the mayor would be directly involved and we'd have the opportunities to communicate with him on resilience and climate change. I do also want to reiterate that, you know, we need to see him use the bully pulpit and a lot more, you know, on establishing Miami as a center for renewable energy. You know, I really, would love to see the same kind of level of engagement or more engagement that he's given to, say, Bitcoin and other, tech startups like that, and really move that to something that's much more sustainable for our future.
Again, I'll pass that on to the mayor's office and let them know. But I think from their lens, it is trying to blend economic development, environmental sustainability, and resilience all together, because they're so interlinked here in the city of Miami. But I will make a point of talking to them to try and ensure that he does attend at the next meeting and kind of lays out this plan that he has been developing for, or I shouldn't say his plan, his vision for the city of Miami.
Yeah, or at least have a staff member present going forward.
Right.
So we just have, we're basically at time, but just wanted to touch on a few quick questions. One was from Claire Ransom about solar panels on city buildings. That's something that we're recommending in the plan. And something that, again, is a place for public advocacy. It's we can do what we can as city staff to push for priorities, but also public pressure to, prioritize funding for solar and things like that is always welcome, help strengthen the case. So that would be a really great place come September when we have budget meetings to, advocate if that's something that the community wants to see. Caroline mentioned that she sent a report on Miami's carbon competitiveness. So that's something that we can reveal. And then the last question from Mihai is, would a project to cool Biscayne Bay qualify for Forever Bond, or how does Biscayne Bay tie into Forever Bond funding? I guess could be a more broad question.
Okay. To give a very brief answer, cooling Biscayne Bay would be unbelievably expensive and way, way beyond anything we could possibly imagine we could do with the Miami Forever Bond funding. Second of all, it is not the city of Miami. It actually is a state aquatic preserve, which means we cannot do anything in the bay itself. And that really goes towards the Florida Department of Environmental Protection that would have to approve anything that is done inside the bay itself. But
that's all the comments and everything.
Okay, so I'd just like to throw out 3 quick dates for everybody here. June 24th, this Thursday, is a city commission meeting. And I'd just like to remind you that they do have a public comment period in the morning if you would like to express your opinions or say anything to the commission. On July 12th is the Climate Resilience Committee meeting. Because of the 4th of July holiday weekend, it won't be happening on the first Monday. It'll happen on July 12th. And that's at 6 o'clock at City Hall. And then June 30th is the Miami Forever Bond Oversight Committee meeting, also at City Hall, starting at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. So, and with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for everybody for participating, and looking forward to doing this again next month.